Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Transwest Truck Trailer RV here in Frederick, Colorado. My name is Taylor, and today we're going to be going over a 2026 Newmar Grand Star. This is a 3444. So you guys aren't familiar with this new product line. It is 34 feet, 11 inches long, so it's a shorter build, but it is mighty as far as it being on the S2RV chassis with 360 horsepower, and it does have a king-size bed. You have the option of getting a washer and dryer, which is kind of amazing on something that's so short, but it is the most affordable Super C on the market too. So let's go ahead and take a walk around the outside, and then we'll end up on the inside. And as always, if you guys have any questions, feel free to contact me at the information below. My number is 970-388-7937. Let's get into it. All right, we'll start over here at the front cap. Talk about our rims and tires a little bit. Of course, for Newmar, nothing but the best. We got the Michelins, and these are the 275/80R 22.5 for the size. And as we work our way up here, again, this is a Super C, so we have our truck style mirrors, and then we have a beautiful aerodynamic cab with that bunk, which also does have a beautiful skylight that you'll be able to see once we get on the inside. Moving forward, we have our awning and our nice windows here. And then of course, we have our entertainment package here with our Bose sound system. And then we have some charging capabilities in here in case you needed to charge any other gadgets. As I close this, I want to just briefly touch on the full body paint with an extensive cut and buff finish on there, so that gives you that nice gloss, and it helps with the wear and tear on the coach as well. Moving on to our first bay compartment, nothing too crazy here. It is nice and lined with carpet, and they are pretty big. If you guys did want specific measurements just to see how tall and wide these are, I'd be happy to go ahead and send that information to you. But we do have a nice little light in here if you needed to go ahead and light that up at night. Moving on to that second, it's going to be the same, but we do have a nice little pass through here, which isn't very familiar with other Super Cs, so I kind of like pointing that out here. It gets pretty almost to that pass through, and then you have some extra tile here if needed, which is always complimentary of Newmar. They always add that in case it's needed. All right, right over here we have our road vac, which is awesome. This is an option, so we opted into having this. And then we have our little hoses right over here, as well as the little for the rollers, for the sliders. That's what these little black cloths are. So if you wanted to go ahead and protect that tile, you can go ahead and throw those on in there. Moving forward here, nothing too crazy as far as storage. This is just going to be one of our tanks. And then we have our batteries here, and then we do have a nice little storage compartment up top. Last bay here with our Xantrax. Sorry, the Victron energy for our inverter. And as we move on back here, at the very top, we have our backup camera. We have a nice window, which people always love, which will be in that master bedroom where that king bed is. And then as we work our way down here, we just have our hitch, what is pre-wired. So if you wanted to go ahead and tow a liar tow vehicle, you can go ahead and do that. It's all set up for you. Moving on to our driver's side here, we just have our dump. For those tank sizes, we have a gray tank and a black tank, which are 52 gallons, and then our freshwater tank is going to be 150 gallons. So even though, again, this is a 34-foot coach, you still have endless freshwater capacity. In this storage compartment, we have our 50 amp shore power cord, and then of course this manual pull automatic retract, which the button is right over here, which makes it really nice and easy to keep this bay clean as well, just so you're not trying to throw the hose in this compartment. We have our Cummins Zonon QD 8,000 watt generator, which is currently running right now. We have our diesel fill here. There we go, which is 150 gallons, sorry, 100 gallon tank for that fuel. And then right over here to our wet bay, we have our outdoor shower. And then another dump here. This is going to be for our black tank dump. Some more storage. And directly across from that storage compartment is our Oasis. So this is really nice having this. Normally you don't see it on the smaller scale motorhomes. So our Oasis is going to be that hydronic heating system that's going to be for your hot water as well as your heater. It just gives you more consistency and a little bit more reliability. Everybody loves the Oasis. And then we have our chassis batteries with the Oasis fluid right above them. All right, we'll go ahead and take our first glance into the cockpit area here. As you can see, we have our lighter interior leather, and we do have that air ride here. But we'll go ahead and take a closer look once we get on the inside. I'll go ahead and pop this hood. I've already latched either side just for convenience. Let's go ahead and check out the chassis. If I can open it. Thank you. Alrighty, again, this is on that S2RV Freightliner custom coach chassis. It's on a Cummins B 6.7 diesel, 360 horsepower and 800 foot-pounds of torque, and then the Allison 3000 MH 6-speed. Perfect. Alrighty, let's go ahead and jump on in to the inside, open up those slides. Perfect. All right. As we walk in, we have our fire extinguisher here. This is where the central vac is located for that vacuum. So you can just go ahead and sweep everything into there. And then we will go ahead, once you guys enter, I always just like showing you the amount of space that you have inside before you open up the slide. So as you can see here, you don't really need to do the sideways shuffle. You can gracefully walk through, and then it only gets bigger from there. You have access to your fridge and as well as that master bathroom. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and open up that full wall slide. Alrighty, let me finish turning on the rest of the lights here. There we go. And let's go ahead and start in the back and we'll work our way forward. I just have one more slide to open back here. But as you can see, we have the two-tone cabinets. So we got the white on top and then more of that brown on the bottom. Gives it some nice contrast. Also new for 26, you have the bed that's on that lift there, so it does recline, which I'll show you where that button is when we get to that. But that's what is able to give you that king size bed in such a short coach. Alrighty. Now that that's open, we just have one button over here, so we can go ahead and bring that bed down whenever you are ready to lie down and rest. And there's just going to be one button on this side, just keep that in mind. Then you can go ahead and put the pillows on back. Whoops. But you have that nice pillowed backboard, it's padded. And then you have plenty of storage overhead with some charging. It is nice and through there. And then you do have one of those touch panels, which I'll kind of go over with you, but just in case you forget to turn anything off before you get in bed, you can go ahead and just use that touch screen there to go ahead and turn what you need to turn off without having to get out of bed. And then of course on either side here, you have a nice little counter space with some additional charging and then some more storage in that little cabinet there. Now we're going to jump over here so you can kind of see the other side. I love how everything is full and fixed. You do have that one window over here, but I like how the TV is framed in. You have nice little mirrors that will open up to kind of be some hanging closet space for you, but it just gives it a real nice modern look. And then you do have another light in there if needed. Of course, the drawers too for some extra storage underneath that TV instead of leaving it hollow. I kind of like that as well, but you still have a little bit of counter space. And then this is where you would go ahead and put your washer and dryer. So this one is pre-plumbed for that, but we didn't put the washer and dryer in. It just has the shelves, but it is ready if needed. So as you can see on either side, it would be a split. One would be the washer and the other would be the dryer if you needed that. I just love that they have that as an option. And then of course, 3 more drawers here. Very solid hardwood. And then of course, that soft close. Another thing that they started doing too, instead of doing the carpet, they're doing this kind of mat, which is kind of nicer to keep clean. You don't have to worry about it staining, and just gives it a little bit of a softer look as well. Before I close up the master bedroom here, you have your nice little pocket door to kind of close it off and give it some privacy. And then as we move on over into our kitchen area, this is where our pantry is. And then you have the drawers, you push them in to unlock, and then you can open them up. So you have 6 adjustable drawers here. This is the latch on our Whirlpool. So you can go ahead and open for that fridge. And then the freezer. Perfect. Let's latch that back up. And then we'll just jump on over to our mid bath. I'll kind of let you guys take an overview of that before I jump in there. But the shower, as far as that sizing, it's a 40 by 30. Pretty big shower with that glass door cover and a skylight to kind of give you additional headroom. And then as far as for the cabinetry, huge cabinet space in here. Nice and open, nothing's obstructing it. And then you have some more storage over here in the corner. Beautiful counter space for all your necessities to charge. And then kind of blocked you with this, but you do have a nice little medicine cabinet here that has a chain, so you don't have to worry about breaking this mirror when you open it. This chrome bowl here kind of adds a little shazam, and then you have your toilet paper holder and 3 more drawers in here. Oops, sorry, just 2. That one's a false drawer. And this one's a little bigger, just so you don't hit the toilet. And then this one is storage, but it's not a drawer just because it would probably be hard to open it. And then again, of course, nice little pocket door here to kind of close that off. Alrighty, let's continue on by talking about our control panel over here. Once you click on it, it will automatically just show you Newmar, and then you have all of your tabs down here. If you go to that home page, it'll show you your house and chassis battery, all of the tanks, and just a little bit of an overview of all of these tabs. If you needed to dive deeper, then you can go ahead and just click into these. For your heating and cooling, make sure you turn this on before you're trying to configure these. If you wanted to go ahead and pair it to your phone, you have the option of doing that as well. And then all of your light fixtures here. This one down below is just going to be for that fantastic fan, so you can go ahead and turn that on and off and up and down. And directly across from that is going to be our kitchen area. Our Whirlpool is convection air fry, which is very nice and a new thing. Don't have to worry about where you're going to store your air fryer. I've gotten that question a lot. And then you do have your true induction. It is a 2-burner. On the other side, you do have a nice little cutting board. So to kind of help with that counter space, you can go ahead and use the cover and still use your cutting board if needed. And then as for your sink, it's just a single bowl, which is rectangular, very spacious. And then again, a cover for extra counter space, or just to go ahead and cover up those dishes that you haven't done yet. One open cabinet up above the sink. And then down below we have plenty of storage. I'll just go ahead and open these. all up for you so you can get a nice little overview. Plenty of storage. In this one we have extra paint, all of the remotes, and then some nice handy dandy notebooks and manuals for the coach. Slide on over, we have our theater seats. These are going to be manual, so you have the little unlatch right here, built-in cup holders, and some additional storage in the center. I like how they changed this instead of it being padded, so you can still set things on here, drinks or anything like that. You don't have to worry about it falling off. And then I'll just go ahead and open up the storage. All three of these compartments are nice and hollowed out, so there's no divider to limit what you can put in there. Here's one of the smaller control panels I was talking about earlier that was in the bedroom, just so you can kind of see. Again, we can go to our home page. It shows you everything as far as an overview of what you can deep dive into. So you can do your heating and cooling. You can also check on all of your charging, tank levels, and lights. Right over here, I do have this up right now. It is on a nice little lift, as you can see, so it's a lot easier to access the front cockpit if needed. But when you're setting up for camp, you can go ahead and just push this down, and you have a nice, very big, spacious, possibly sleep up to 2 people up here as far as adult wise, just depending on size, of course. And then you have 2 little cutouts on each side that have charging, and you have your electric shade there to go ahead and open up that glass window. Thank you. It's kind of nice having that to let in some natural light so you can kind of save on battery power. You don't have to use the lights that are in there. Or if you just want to go ahead and stargaze or watch the snow fall down, it's very neat and all the kids love it. Perfect. And then lastly, instead of doing a curtain, they went with just like a blackout shade, which is kind of cool. So you can go ahead and just close that area off and open it up when needed. There we go. And sliding on over here, we just have our TV. Again, I love how it has that framed in look. These cabinets are a little higher, but you still have space up above there. And then if you needed to put any receivers or anything up there, you have that nice glass. That one's nice and glassed for you, so the remote will be able to get through that. And then of course, more storage on that side as well. Something else that I like is this turns into a bed. So not only did we have this extra bed up here, but this one turns into a bed. Of course, it's more so for kids and toddlers, but you have that option for a sleeping area. Or if you wanted to go ahead and opt into a couch, you can have that turn into a bed as well. Just want to take this cushion off just so you can go ahead and see the seat belt underneath there. You have that nice lap belt, and then that is a drawer for some extra storage. All right. Then we'll come over here and we'll just talk about all the controllers that we have. We have our battery disconnect, our step, so we can do a step override and turn that. Right now it's off. So every time you close that door, the steps will come in. We can turn on our block heater and our patio light. We have our wine guard up here for our Victron energy, for our inverter. And then we have our power control system, so you can go ahead and flip through all those to check everything out if needed, but also you can do that on the touch screen. And then we have our awning controllers right here. This one you can go ahead and turn on, off, retract, and extend. And then we have our lights. Lastly, this is just our slide controller for that full wall slide. And then you do have a nice little shade here, so you can go ahead and close off that lighting here. And then we have a nice little coat rack here, so you can go ahead, if you're not using it, you can go ahead and close it up, but if you did have some coats, leashes, anything like that, you can go ahead and hang them right next to the door. Alrighty, and then we'll go ahead and just end off up here. I'll turn that chassis on and let it wake up a little bit. There we go. So of course we have that big Freightliner steering wheel. This is, you can go ahead and telescope it. Everything as far as for your seat to recline or extend or move forward or back is going to be manual, and then you can go ahead and set that air ride here in the seats as well. And then we have all of our features inside of the steering wheel as far as for the cruise control and all that. And we could flip through all of our gauges here, look at our settings and so forth. Right over here for our Allison, you can go ahead and put it into manual or automatic, and then this is where so you can keep your hands on the steering wheel. It's kind of nice being able to do that from here. Then we have our parking brake, our nice big touch screen here for our radio, so you can deep dive into the radio. Whoopsies. Here's the volume up here to turn that down. Go back to home, just has a button, and then you can go into Sirius XM, Bluetooth, and the settings all from there as well. Directly below that, we have our generator start and stop. So if you want to go ahead and turn that on mid-drive, you can go ahead and do that. And then you have your house and battery boost for either the house or the chassis. And then when you go over here, we have our leveling jacks. So you can go ahead and just turn that on first, and with a click of a button, you can go ahead and level that coach. Down below here is just for our heating and cooling, and then we have some nice little cup holders. But that's pretty much gonna wrap it up for our 2026 Newmar Grand Star. Again, this is a 3444, so if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach me at my information below, or if you have any other questions regarding any Newmar product, I'd be happy to help you out. Thanks again, and have a good day.